X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I will be your host for the day. Music's playing. Wait for it.
Sorry, everybody.
I will be your host for the day, and still Class President Drew Willem. With me, Andrew Valentin. How you doing?
I'm doing. Yeah,
Are you sure?
I'm all right, ladies and gentlemen. I promise. Yeah, I forgot the volume was on my laptop. Scared me for a little bit there. I was like, "Whoa, where's that coming from?" So
Mini breakdowns by all.
we're okay. We're all right, folks. We're good.
We're here. It's rolling.
Oh yes, yes it is.
But how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, we were ready. I got some stuff. You know, I was getting everything ready for the day, and then I checked my phone, obviously, as it always happens, and something happened. So I'm like, oh well, great. Well, then we can clear all this out.
Yeah.
So we had a talk and
Scratch the prepared show and talk something new.
Absolutely, and something big for sure.
Which is football.
Absolutely.
As usual.
Mm-hmm.
And the big news is there is a fat check being paid out in Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
To a certain Arizona Cardinals quarterback, Kyler Murray. Signs a 5-year extension worth $230.5 million.
I thought it was Colt McCoy.
Yeah. Well, the way things were going.
Might have earned it.
Yeah. So this deal runs through 2028 season.
Yep.
160 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And some might say only 160 million guaranteed. I will not be one of those people saying that because that is a ridiculous statement to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when the news popped, you saw stroll across your phone. What were your first thoughts on this deal? And should they have done it? Should they have just stood pat? Or should they have basically folded like they have and give him what he wanted?
You know, it's difficult because obviously when it comes to like with Kyler Murray, we've kind of heard a lot that he has a little bit of that Aaron Rodgers, shall we say, esque-ness to himself, for lack of a better term, that air of him that I guess he feels like he is above the team. I guess, you know, not maybe the best locker room guy. But it is very clear that since he's been there, this team has improved. Now they made the playoffs. Obviously, they lost in a pretty tragic fashion. Nevertheless, the fact that they've been able to go from, 3-12-1 or whatever it was, and then they go 8-8, and now they're, 11-6 making the playoffs. They were undefeated for a while there. They look like one of the best teams in football. And I was one who said, look, the attitude and everything and the personality certainly is something you have to think about, right? But with Aaron Rodgers, you certainly have to think about that kind of stuff for sure. But at the same time, this is your franchise. This guy does make your team better. He runs that offense to a T. I would argue to say that if it were not for Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury probably would have been fired by now. So
can agree with that.
Yeah, I like Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's okay. I just don't think he's head coach material. Maybe more offensive coordinator per se, but it works, and I think they needed to pay him. I think they had really no other choice. Like I said, Colt McCoy is their only other option at this point to go at quarterback, and yeah, he's okay. You know, he's not Kyler. He was barely Colt McCoy from Texas when he went to the Browns and stuff. And
we've seen his production on the field. Just using your eyes, the eye test, you can see Colt McCoy is not a starting quarterback in this league. He's a very good backup quarterback, and can win games for you if need be.
Absolutely, he's very much a more athletic, I would say, or not even more athletic, but he has the ability to run, obviously. He's kind of on that lower tier level of like a Ryan Tannehill. Not going to make a lot of big throws, but he can make enough throws to kind of win you the game and maybe some athletic plays to kind of get you some first downs and stuff. But I think Kyler Murray signing this deal, I think it's the right move for him. It solidifies him in Arizona. You're the guy, but now all the pressure starts to mount up on him, obviously, because, okay, we paid you like a starting quarterback in the league. Now you have to deliver.
Right.
So 11-6, it either has to continue like that, or at this point you have to build on it. And I think they're hoping to win the division, which not going to be easy. That division's pretty well stacked, minus one team. And I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be prepared for that. So, but I was like, overall, good on you, man. You earned you got your money. I don't know if you earned it, but you got your money.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. We kind of said in the past that he may not have necessarily deserved all this money.
Yes.
Just handed to him like this. maybe this last year should have been, hey, this is a prove it year for you. One more year, prove it before we're going to hand you all this money.
Right.
Well, that's not really how things work in the NFL. Quarterbacks with talent like he has and the production that he's shown he can produce, that's what they get paid.
Absolutely.
They get paid. And that's exactly what happened with Kyler. So, but with this money comes the stats from the past, basically. Right. His stats up to this point, or starting with the 2021 season. He played 14 games. Was injured a little bit, had some time. We saw some Colt McCoy.
Yeah, we did. And he won a game.
And he won. Whereas you saw Kyler Murray lose a game to Detroit last season. And so
that's right.
It kind of evens itself out some. You think you're not going to win one with Colt, and you think you should beat Detroit with Kyler, and it just doesn't happen. It's just the crazy NFL.
Right.
Anybody can win any Sunday.
Absolutely.
But for his stats for last season, 3,787 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 69.2 completion percentage, 88 carries for 423 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Okay. We'll just run through the rest of them real quick, and then we'll just get an overall outlook of what you think his career's looked like, and then where he's headed.
Yeah.
So his career numbers, 46 games played. He's 22-23-1 record. Nasty little tie in there.
Yeah.
66.9 completion percentage, 11,480 yards, 70 touchdowns, 34 interceptions. Not terrible ratio there.
I would say that's actually, for a guy, keep this in mind, he's not even 25 yet.
Right.
For those numbers, that's pretty good. The record, obviously, rough, but considering first year on a winning season, also considering they had D-Hop and all these other weapons, and now they're going to get D-Hop back
6 games
after
in.
6, 8, whatever it is, like 6, 8 games, something like that.
I think he got 6 games.
6 games, okay. Yeah. So you're getting him back after a while, but this is a quarterback that kind of has shown he can kind of make a difference. Obviously D-Hop does make it a lot different, but look, Christian Kirk, does he deserve the money he got in Jacksonville? I would argue to say probably not.
No.
But I think Kyler Murray showed him to be a wide receiver that can get yards after the catch, be a big play wide receiver, and that's why Jacksonville paid him, right? So in some way, you kind of have to say, well, Kyler Murray helped him get that money.
Right.
So I think there's something to Kyler Murray's value, even with the stats. You can kind of say, well, maybe they could be better. I mean, looking at them right now, I would take that. I would take that all day. 70 touchdowns, only 34 interceptions. That's 66 completion percentage. Yeah. There's not many quarterbacks that are doing that right now. That's for his career so far, which is 3 years. How many other guys are you going to find like that?
Right, and along with his value comes his legs. He's very fast. He's shifty. Moves around in the pocket a lot. Doesn't necessarily view himself as a running quarterback because he's not.
No,
he's a pocket passer because he has a very strong arm as well. But he can run.
Yes,
and he can run a lot if he needs to. So for 314 career carries, 1,786 yards, 20 touchdowns, and a 5.7 average. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2019 Offensive Rookie of the Year as well.
Yeah.
So seeing these numbers, do those scream big-time contract like he got? And do you see him improving on these numbers even more and becoming that player, taking that next step to bring them to playoff victories and potentially a Super Bowl run?
When I look at his stats from last year and then you look at, obviously, the career stats, honestly, in today's market, I kind of do think it warrants the contract, right? Because, yes, the wins and the losses ratio has not panned out the way you wanted it to, but I guess you could make the argument, well, next year or this coming draft, you've got a lot of quarterbacks that could easily come out and you could say, yeah, we might be able to replace him. Well, do you want to take that risk? Because obviously this guy's a playmaker. I would argue to say he's the closest thing to Russell Wilson. Like in right now, of any quarterback you want to say who's in the NFL right now, he's probably the closest thing we can see right now to Russell Wilson, who I don't say he's a pocket passer. I always describe him as a quarterback who can run, which is my way of saying he throws first and then he runs kind of out of necessity, right?
I mean more like a drop back passer, not necessarily staying in the pocket, because he definitely doesn't do that. He's a jitterbug back there. He's all over the place.
Exactly. And that helps out so much, being that elusive in the pocket, not being able to be a one-hit go-down quarterback, right? Nothing against like your boy Tom Brady, and he's a great quarterback, but obviously if it weren't for the fact that offensive line was so good putting a pocket around him, he'd be getting crushed a lot by the defensive lines that he's faced. I mean, they would be in his face a lot. But when he was younger, obviously we saw a little bit more mobile, could move with the pocket, right? And that's what's great with the Cardinals, right? They're getting back Rodney Hudson too, one of their centers as well. So that's going to help a lot with their protection. They have I would say decent offensive line, not great, but it's decent. It's enough that he can make plays. They can hold their blocks. I think he's a guy that definitely warrants, the money. Again, he's 24 years old. He's just hitting his prime. By the time he's 30, who knows how many Pro Bowls and All Pros, or he might even have an MVP. He may even have a Super Bowl ring by that point. Who knows? I mean, he may not even be with the Cardinals for all we know as well. He could potentially say, yeah, this isn't working, I'm out. Who knows what his situation might be, but I have to say, for what he's accomplished thus far, as a guy who's like, yeah, forget baseball. I'm gonna go play football. To be a first round pick in 2 sports, and the fact that he's been able to be a success in football the way he has.
And he's making more than the whole athletics payroll. I heard too. It's just crazy.
It's just great. It's awesome. Yep. It speaks to, I think, his level of competitiveness and athleticism. Regardless of what we say about him, he does compete. He wants to win, and he he is extremely talented. And I think the money shows on that, and I think it's worth it. See,
from my opinion, I would have gone the route of, which he might not have even shown up and played, but I would have been like, prove it to us one more year. We need to see more in big time games from you.
Right.
In those big time moments, we need more.
Yeah.
We need more. So I would have gone about it that way, which might not have worked out. That doesn't always work out the way you want it, and you end up having to fold and give them what they want anyways.
Yeah,
it's just the way the NFL works. So I understand why they paid him the money. The quarterbacks don't grow on trees. These guys aren't. Look at the situation with the Bears. Like,
yes,
how many quarterbacks have gone through looking for one? The Cleveland Browns doing the same thing. Many other teams around the league look for these guys left and right and struggle and sometimes never find them.
No, God, how many times have, the Browns are finally on they're on quarterback 30 whatever at this point, and they had to go trade for the guy, and he still may not even play the full season.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
We'll unfortunately get to that soon.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I don't look too much into the wins and losses because this team was bad before he got there, and they had growing pains, getting him acclimated, and the new head coach there, all coming together and trying to work together, make this new offense run.
Yeah.
And then actually bring in more weapons for Kyler Murray as well, because without the weapons and that, as poor as that defense has been, they're getting better. They're getting better. They have much better players there now.
Yeah.
They have a lot more to work with. Booking, finding those. They lost Chandler Jones, which is tough. Still have J.J. Watt, needing to find some more there on defense as well.
Yeah.
But they're getting better.
Absolutely.
So with that and more weapons, I think he's going to have the opportunity to really show that he deserves this money.
I mean, keep this in mind, too. For those who are should the Cardinals be committed to him or not? Remember, they traded up for Josh Rosen, and after one season with him, they said, "Nah, we're good. We're going to actually trade you and draft Kyler." That shows you, I think, right there how committed they were to saying this is our guy.
On top of just getting a 5-year extension and a lot of money.
Exactly.
That right there says enough that they're committed to him going forward.
Yeah, and like you said too, I mean, with this, last season, they lost to the Rams, lost to the Lions, lost to the Colts, 3 in a row, and then at the end of the year, they lost to the Seahawks. I mean, and that Seahawks team did have Russell Wilson, yes, but nevertheless, you did lose to them, 38-30. You had a chance, so tough. Like you said, he's got to prove it. I think he deserves the money, but I agree with you. Certainly has to prove it on the field. Do or die is right now.
Right. Which they're kind of stuck with him for a while at this point. So
at this time,
with that money and that contract now, so I think this is going to be his year to have a shot at. I'm not going to say take the division because I think that's going to be the Rams, but
yeah.
To push for a playoff spot, a wild card is very doable.
They could do it again.
They could absolutely do it again because Seattle's not going to be good.
No,
okay.
I have to imagine not.
San Francisco may have growing pains with Trey Lance starting for them. They may not be the team that they were because if your quarterback's terrible, you may have a really nice team around you, but you won't get the production that you will even out of Jimmy G, who is a professional quarterback and can run an offense.
Absolutely.
So I think this is the year that he does have to prove it and can take that next step. And he's going to have to if they want to try and push for that.
Yeah.
But along with climbing those ranks in their division and in the league, he has climbed the ranks on the list of players getting paid. Okay. Murray ranks second in quarterback's annual salary at $46.1 million behind Rodgers' $50.3. Stupid money. He's above Watson by $46 million. Watson gets $46 million annually.
Beat by 0.1.
Yeah, just enough.
Yeah,
which we keep seeing this. Not necessarily everybody's the next quarterback jumps up, but they just like to give him just enough, a little bit more than the last guy, just that little bit makes him happy.
We love you, we care, and here's why.
Mahomes is getting $45 million annually. Allen $43 million annually. This is stupid money. It's just stupid money.
That's what this is crazy. I mean, the market obviously shifted thanks to Karen there.
Yeah.
Thank so much, Karen.
$1 billion organizations.
Yeah.
This is what you get. The entertainment business and football is king. So they have tons and tons of money.
Football is king indeed. And this shows that your top players are getting paid mega contracts that even some CEOs wish they could have at this point. I think that's one of my favorite things. I think, I can't remember who it was. I think he was the CEO or whatever of one of the banks. And they're like, what's one of the things you kind of wish you did? And it's like, well, and this was back like in the 90s or whatever. So he's like, I mean, honestly, I wish I was playing quarterback for like the New York Giants, making as much money as he did.
Right.
So, I mean, there's some of these dudes that actually would kill for this. It's a lot, yeah. Again, we've said it's a lot, but all things considered, I mean, is the second-ranked quarterback in terms of his pay. I think he's right there. I think you have to make that kind of choice. You have to make that kind of gamble. I wouldn't have made it potentially on maybe Mr. Number 3. I won't say his name, but that's obviously, again, you're trying to pay for what happened in the past, and you're trying to hope that player emerges as the difference maker, and that's what quarterback's about.
Absolutely. Well, with his deal, he needs to. Like we said, he has to prove that he deserves this money.
Right.
Like he's one of the top tier quarterbacks in the league.
Yes.
It's proven.
Absolutely.
He's shown it with his stats, his numbers, all that. Time to step up.
Yeah.
Because this 5-year deal for Watson, $230 million, 10-year deal for Mahomes, $450 million, 6 years, $258 for Josh Allen, and now a 5-year extension, $230.5 million for Kyler Murray.
I picked the wrong position in high school.
Well, I still don't think that Kyler Murray is at the point where he should be making more than those guys, even all those guys.
Right.
Watson doesn't deserve a cent. We'll get to that.
Yes,
but I don't. It blows my mind.
Right. Yeah.
But as far to close up on this deal, show up time.
Yeah.
Show up time.
Yep.
And he has the potential to do it. He's a great player. It's
time to do what only Kurt Warner's been able to do this far and get Cardinals right back in the Super Bowl. This contract says a Lombardi trophy better be in your hands by the end of this thing. That's what that says to me.
Are they going to do it?
Bro, that's tough. That's tough to say. If I think it'll take another draft of the defense. I think another signing of a big weapon to put alongside DeAndre Hopkins, or at least steady play from the rest of the guys. Like D-Hop, be the superstar that you are at wide receiver. Everybody else fill in the gaps. And I think they can win. If they can win, they don't even have to win the division. But I think they can pull it off. But I think it will take more experience from Kyler Murray, and a little bit more effort from the defense as well. And I don't know if J.J. Watt's going to be there for that haul, but I mean, if anything, he can at least be like a leader in the locker room for the defense. But I think they can. It's going to take more work than just, okay, we signed you to a big contract, like go win us something. A little bit more needs to be put in place. He may even need to renegotiate this deal at some point to free up cap space. So
very possible. Well, there is another quarterback who's next in line for a deal, and Kyler Murray's deal just kind of ups the ante for Lamar Jackson and what he's looking for. It's kind of weird that right after Kyler signs his deal, Lamar shows up and is at the facility.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I think him seeing that deal get done, he's like, I better show up, otherwise I'm not going to get my money.
Yeah.
So he's on a 5th-year option that's paying him $23 million.
Yes.
I wouldn't not cry about that
whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, is he getting a deal soon?
Oh man. Okay. I stress this again. When we did the top 10 quarterbacks, I know you weren't here. I stress this again. I don't hate Lamar. For people that think I hate Lamar, I don't hate this guy. But like, mind if we jump to the stats real quick for this one? I mean,
absolutely.
You look at the numbers, right? You look at last year's numbers from where he was at the beginning, right? This guy wins the MVP in 2019, has first quarterback to hit 3,000 yards and 1,000 rushing yards. That's fantastic. Baltimore was 14-2, if I'm not mistaken, that year. They were at the top of the AFC. They were like the number 1 seed. They had it all going on. They lost to the Tennessee Titans, who were 9-7, and Ryan Tannehill with Derrick Henry and that whole shebang. They did not play well at all. This year, you saw they were starting to figure. It's not figuring out Lamar Jackson. It's not like, oh, we figured him out. It's more so we understand how to play him now, right? I mean, he has a winning record, but he misses the final 4 games because of an ankle injury. That hurts him significantly. And the passing yards, he didn't have over 3,000 yards. He almost had as many interceptions as touchdowns. And he really didn't even get in the end zone all that much on rushing touchdowns. He only had 2 this year. That says to me that NFL defenses are starting to learn how to adjust against him, which funny enough, Greg Roman's offense of the read option was developed in San Francisco when they had Colin Kaepernick. And who figured out how to beat that offense? Ironically, it was the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl when they played each other. So John Harbaugh knows how to play that offense and showed everybody how a defense can play that offense. So if anybody's to blame, it's John Harbaugh's fault. But all in all, Cumbus, I mean, for what this season was and what he's done, he's done a lot of great things. Don't get me wrong. But based off of what I saw this year, I would be hesitant to give him the money, just simply because, unlike Kyler Murray, who is a quarterback who can run, Lamar is a running quarterback, meaning he has to run as much as he has to throw.
It's a run. I think he almost has to run more than he has to throw.
Yeah, that's even so. He may have to run more because his throwing ability, while is good, throwing to the flats to Mark Andrews and throwing slants to whatever his name is, Bateman, and all those other guys, it's just not going to be enough. Like even Marquise Brown, I don't know why he left. Maybe the Cardinals really did want him. Maybe he did want out. I don't know. But was he really fitting that offense? I don't think so.
Oh, I think the Cardinals really wanted him if they gave up that first-round pick for him.
That's right, and he'll be there. And he'll be there with the Cardinals, too. I forgot for Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
So good for Murray.
Another weapon.
Guy back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lamar, it's Mark Andrews, really, and that's kind of it. They don't have anybody else that really feeds. He needs, like...
Bateman needs to take another step.
He actually needed N'Keal Harry, to be honest. I mean, I'm serious. Like, he needed a big wide receiver with, like you said, Bateman and all that.
Yeah. Well, they definitely have a long way to go on offense still.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to hopefully get all the running backs back this year because they lost
They did have a lot
ton.
of injuries.
See, I really like Lamar Jackson. I like how his game.
Yeah.
He plays an exciting game.
Absolutely.
He's fun to watch. He has to become a better passer. He has to get better at passing the football, or he's not going to be a winning player like he has in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, he's done it. They've gone far, but when it's crunch time in the playoffs and you have to throw the ball, you haven't done that.
No.
Unless you are leading a team and able to use that rushing attack that they have, you're not coming back in games.
No, you can see it. He doesn't have the arm strength to hit the numbers, right?
Right.
Like, the guy has won. I saw the stat where he's tied with Josh Allen for 4th most wins right now in the league.
He's a winning player.
Absolutely.
He is a winning player.
Absolutely. It's just when it comes to, like you said, crunch time, when you need him to make that throw, you know Allen can give that to you. You know Mahomes can give it to you. You know Brady and Rodgers and Murray and Wilson and Burrow and Herbert. I mean, we could go down and down the list. I would almost I'm not going to do it, but I would almost even throw Dak Prescott at some point.
I'd throw him more on the outside. His name was there for me.
It's right on the tip of the tongue, but I won't throw it out there just yet.
He's not in your top 10?
Yeah, well, he is. He's just number 10. Okay. Everybody yelled at me about it. It's okay. I know I put Derek Carr above him. And there's another guy. I would say between Derek Carr and Lamar Jackson, I love both of them. I like Derek Carr because of his spirit, his fire, his intensity, his competitiveness. I love Lamar Jackson because of his athleticism, his competitiveness, his fiery, his energy. All of that brings it to Baltimore. Both of these guys elevate their teams to the next level.
Yep.
If I got 5 seconds on the clock, though, and I need to make a touchdown pass down the sidelines to a wide receiver, who am I taking? I'm probably going to take Derek Carr over Lamar Jackson, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And Derek Carr, for me, it was number 11 on the list. Okay. Yes. So this year, with even more weapons and everything he needs to be a successful offense and a winning offense and a high-powered offense, now's his time to push himself into that top 10 for me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think he could very well do it. Where Lamar Jackson, I don't see that happening this year.
No,
I don't see that. I don't see that happening in the future either. So that's why I can't necessarily give him a huge deal like Kyler. I have to put him below that.
Yeah,
I have to put him below those numbers because I don't think he's 100% there.
You can be a winner, and being a winner is obviously something that everybody wants. Like, listen, if Justin Fields comes out this year and they go, I'm just spitballing on this one, they go like 16-1, right, in the 17-game season. Just spitballing on this.
That's a pretty insane spitball.
That's insane. I know that's a huge spitball that I'm throwing through the wall in the window. But if that does happen, obviously there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, listen, last year he had a bum year, everything like that. All of a sudden he kicks it up and he has MVP, like Lamar Jackson MVP style kind of season, right? Not in the same fashion, but let's say an MVP season nevertheless in your second year, right? Which, if we think about it, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes are the only two guys in these last few years that have done that, where by their second year winning the MVP, which is really impressive. Give them a lot of props. Sure, right. No problem. But even still, I can't still support the fact, looking at his career, one, I'm just afraid that he's going to get injured because of how much he's ran the ball, 615 times carrying the football. It doesn't sound like a lot, but as a quarterback who's only 200, I think he's like 220 right now, they said, that's still a lot. That's a lot of punishment to take as a quarterback. And I would have fear for that at some point, like last year, he got an ankle injury, missed the last 4 seasons. If he was there, would they probably have made it to the playoffs? Maybe. Maybe they win the division. Maybe the Bengals don't win the division and they don't go to the Super Bowl. Who knows? But he wasn't there for that. He wasn't a part of that. And my concern is because of the lack of ability to throw, he doesn't have 10,000 yards yet. That's fine, whatever. But he does get touchdowns. Okay, fine. But the fact that there's not a lot of arm strength, he runs, I think, a little bit too much. They're too reliant on that run game. I think they need to do a lot more with, and I said this to somebody too, between the two Ravens that have won quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls, Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco, he needs to be more Joe Flacco and less Trent Dilfer. Because right now, he's going to end up like Trent Dilfer, where the defense has to carry him to a Super Bowl, I think. At this point in time, I don't see him winning it. I see him just being a part of the win.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I think he's going to get paid.
I think he will. I absolutely think he will. They don't have many options unless they do think there's a quarterback in this draft that's going to be like a game changer.
Now, and if that's the case, they're not a bad enough team to get to that point.
I would say
or
not.
You have to trade all the way up, and Lamar Jackson's probably in that deal.
Yeah, I mean, you don't sign Marcus Williams and make all these trades and get Kyle Hamilton and Lindstrom and all those dudes in the draft. You don't do that if you think you're going to lose a bunch of games. I'm sorry, you don't.
Right. So, well, it's only a matter of time before he gets his money. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and that's what they get paid. Unfortunately, when we come back, we're talking about another top quarterback in the league.
I'm sorry.
On the field. bottom of the list off the field. But when we come back, we'll talk about that guy and his dirty chocolate starfish right here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. Welcome everybody back. I'm still Drew Jones. This is still Andrew Valentin, and we're still talking football.
Yes, we are.
It's not really on-field football talk.
No.
Unfortunately, it's more of this Deshaun Watson nonsense.
Yes, it's in the courtroom, unfortunately.
But it's news nevertheless, and it's big news nevertheless.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about it, whether I like it or not. But let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
We have a little Deshaun Watson versus the NFL going on right now.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Deshaun Watson and the NFLPA plan to sue the NFL if handed a full year suspension. Arbitrator Sue Robinson potentially wait to see if the NFLPA make a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Agreement on length of suspension bypasses appeal that would drag this out. This has been dragged out for a very long time. I don't think any more dragging.
I mean,
is good.
The problem is, I think Deshaun Watson and his lawyers would easily be like, yeah, let's keep going as long, because I think it's no skin off their nose at this point.
No.
They don't really care. They're like, they'll be like, we'll go as long as you want to go, because for them, at some point, they're probably thinking it'll look bad for you guys, because it's like, you're just delaying the inevitable. Just give him a suspension. We'll fight this tooth and nail, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, if the sides can't agree on a suspension, then Robinson will step in and announce a suspension, which I'm sure he doesn't want that.
Oh, of course.
I can only hope that it would be something that he wouldn't want.
My guess would be, from her account, I would probably guess it'd be somewhere close to, if not a full season suspension. That's what I've heard from.
And if Watson decides to fight Robinson's decision, it goes to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. And at that point, I mean, who really knows?
Who knows what that robot?
Okay, if Calvin Ridley gets a year suspension for gambling on his own team, not that they would lose,
right?
That they would win.
Yeah.
Okay. He gets a full year.
Yeah.
Which it's against the rules. It's not right.
Right. He violated some rules. Okay.
Violated a big rule in the league where, some players in the past are basically booted.
Yeah.
So bad. Substance abuse, performance enhancing drugs, 4 games, 6 games, somewhere along that line.
Yeah.
And to say what he did with 66 different massage therapists over a 17-month period, and to say that his suspension could be less than that for substance abuse or performance enhancing drugs, or even Calvin Ridley's suspension, there is something very, very wrong with that to me.
Yeah, it very much. I mean, listen, we've talked about this obviously very much
ad nauseum.
And nauseum, yes, I would totally agree. We've talked a lot about this with Deshaun Watson, and I'm not saying I like it either. I'm not happy with this at all. But obviously, it is part of the news, and it does have an impact, obviously, on the football world in itself and in sports as a general. Because this kind of, I think, will become a base case, if you will, for setting the precipice for what comes for the future, right? This was obviously a very serious thing. It didn't come out in court. There's no, trial coming through or anything. It's we have all these settlements that are happening left and right now. No, we'll get a little bit more into it and stuff like that. But even still, on the basis of it, everybody's kind of just settling on the money and everything like that. Nothing's been disclosed on how much is taking and stuff. We're assuming it's probably going to be in a very huge lump sum of upwards to the probably millions of dollars that we've been guessing on to this point. And I just feel like at this breaking point in time, like you have to, I don't want to say make an example, but at some point, like you have to kind of follow up on what you've been trying to promote, which is like, hey, we want to make sure that this kind of stuff never happens again. Well,
and this is the perfect time to make that example.
Unfortunately, again, I don't want to say that about any player, but at what point do you say, like, this is something that should not have happened?
You know what? I would 100% fine saying this about a player.
Yeah.
If you or I did this, we would be in jail.
Yeah.
We would be in jail, okay? Why is it any different for a professional athlete who makes millions of dollars?
Absolutely.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
It's and it goes to show. You can see with how this entire thing has gone from what is a lawyer has been saying in the media, which we've talked again ad nauseum about. I mean, all the idiotic and stupid things, for lack of a better term to say, but really also I think kind of says a lot about what was said. Just, well, only 3 of them were consensual when it was like 19 women or whatever it was. And then it was like, or 22 women. And then it's like, okay, well, we have to talk about, what counts as legal in the state of Texas and stuff.
Right.
So much of that. And then Watson never really acknowledging with any sort of apology, not an apology, but feeling something for these women, always kind of just being like, obviously denying his innocence. That's what he's going to do. But you never even acknowledge like an emotional level for like these women or anything, which to me says, so now we're settling. So something may have happened and you're acknowledging that you feel sorry for yourself and you don't really feel sorry for these women. That to me promotes the level of almost a monster at that point.
Well, yeah. From the start, it was all denied. Yeah. And then as time went on, you heard more and more about things that came out.
Absolutely.
Okay, we had nothing on numbers. Then you get more information, and all the information shows that he was lying.
Yes.
He did these things. Well, some of them were consensual. Well, these were Okay, well, then you still did it. It still happened. You lied about it to try and cover it up. You never thought you were going to get caught. Well, you did.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody better do something, and it better not be a sorry-ass 4-game, 6-game suspension.
Yeah, it's...
And as a bigger joke, the Cleveland Browns organization, the way they set up his contract to make sure this guy didn't lose money.
Of course.
Because he's going to have to... Because they probably knew he was going to have to pay all these women.
Right.
In suits to keep them quiet.
I have to... And kind of leading into the next part on this, I have to assume someone in the Houston Texans spoke with the Browns and gave them information like, listen, I'm just guessing it probably went something along like, I can't give you all the details, but just I would be prepared for the potential outcome of this. And I have to assume someone said something like that.
Why else would they arrange his contract like that?
Exactly.
Going into it. Like they knew those things were on the table and a possibility that it happened. Well, then they find out, it did happen.
Right. I find that hard to believe that you were kind of like, oh, we decided to set up the contract this way because we felt like it.
Yeah.
Because, we want to make sure he saves a little bit on. No, you didn't. You know exactly what you did.
Because the Texans knew they did wrong as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to get as much as they could for the guy and get him out before all this stuff came more to light.
Absolutely.
And then maybe not get a trade partner.
Yeah.
And then they're stuck with him, paying him for, well, maybe not necessarily paying him, but paying him to not play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far for the Texans have reached settlement with 30 women prepared to make claims against the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've heard about the Texans, they're giving Deshaun Watson non-disclosure agreements to give to these women while he's doing these terrible things during massages.
Mm-hmm.
So these claims are coming for its alleged role in regarding sexual misconduct allegations against Watson.
Yeah. I know.
The fact that they could know about this and allow this to happen and even give him non-disclosures, and clearly them coming to settlements with 30 of the women, shows they knew about wrongdoing as well.
I've said this before about the McNair family. And again, I don't like speaking ill on people or anything like that. Speak ill. I don't know why I use that language. But, I don't like talking bad about anybody. But this family, unfortunately, may Bob McNair rest well, but he unfortunately was a man who said some things in the past. He once stated that he would never let the inmates run the prison in terms of making reference to the team. This was way back when we even started X-Bomb, and we talked about this, about that's not, you shouldn't really use that language. It's terrible language to use. Again, respect to the man. Obviously, he has since passed, and he was battling cancer and all that stuff. That's fine, but there were some comments that he made. There's a lot of, iffiness to his background. They come off as this very wholesome, very, they base a lot of their family values off religion and things like that, and a lot of their business off religion and things like that. And I think using that as kind of a cover is what I feel like the McNairs use. I don't want to get into a fight on anything religion or anything like that, but I'm saying that I think they use their so-called religious family value thing, whatever you want to call it, as a shield to kind of coat themselves and say, oh, but we could do nothing wrong, right?
We didn't
You want me to
know.
hit the statement that we got from them? I can do it for you if you want.
Doesn't matter.
All right, I'll do it. I want to read this for everybody out there. This is a statement that came from Texans owners Janice, Hannah, and Cal McNair. These are the siblings for Bob McNair that now are the owners of the team. They said, "We are shocked and deeply saddened when we first learned of the allegations against our then franchise quarterback in March 2021. Although our organization did not have any knowledge of Deshaun Watson's alleged misconduct, we have intentionally chosen to resolve the matters amicably. Excuse me. Sorry, new word for me. This is not an admission of any wrongdoing, but instead a clear stand against any form of sexual assault and misconduct. We hope that today's resolution will provide some form of closure to the parties involved, our fans, and the Houston community at large. As an organization, we will now turn our focus to the future and doing what we can to ensure respect for all." This was a statement that was put out on Friday by the family. Hearing that statement, I'm not buying any of it. I'm sorry. There's too much evidence here for myself, unfortunately. I'll say it's alleged because obviously we will probably never find out unless Deshaun Watson is probably caught on microphone or something saying, yeah, he did that or whatever. And I don't think that'll ever happen, unfortunately. But there's a lot of that evidence that unfortunately just you look at it all, it just kind of snakes through to say like something happened here between him and some of these masseuses. Maybe not all of them, but something certainly seems to have happened between him and quite a few of them.
Yep.
And I find it very hard to believe that this organization, the Texans, who were on the precipice of possibly being a Super Bowl contending team for a while there, were totally in the, outside the cone of silence of knowing what was going on in their organization with this quarterback. How do you not know what's going on with your franchise player?
Yep.
How do you not know?
I don't buy that.
You have to. I don't buy any of this. The wrongdoing and all that stuff. Baloney. You're fooling yourself. You're trying to fool us. We've tried, and listen, as people who have listened to the Bears talk a lot, it's a lot of jibber jabber that I'm not buying. I see right through it. I think they're lying through their teeth on this.
This is called deflection.
Absolutely.
Deflect. It wasn't us. It wasn't me. It was everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else did it.
Or it's a little sleight of hand, right? Look at the keys over here while I do something else over there. That's exactly what this is.
Tricks.
Yeah.
Tricks. Well, just like tricks, there's an expectation versus reality. The expectation here is that he gets a year at minimum.
Yeah.
I would say.
I would think
that the expectation would be for most, if not all of a season, he will not be playing and will not be getting paid because he's suspended.
Right.
Which, again, we talk about his joke of a contract. Is it even going to affect him?
Yeah.
$1 million for the first season. It's a joke, okay? But per Pro Football Talk, Watson is expected to get a suspension between 2 and 8 games. What are your thoughts on that sorry number right there?
Well, first off, I think it should be a full suspension personally myself. That's just me, okay? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. If you're saying 2 to 8, I think it's going to be 8 games. I think saying 2 to 8 is them trying to say it's going to be 8 games. I think it should be longer, but 8 games, fine. That's like half the season for the most part. A little under half the season for 17 games. I don't agree with it, but sure, okay. If this comes out to 2 games, there is something wrong with the system, as if we don't already know that.
Yeah.
But it's way more broken than ever. If this is only 2 games.
Way more broken than we even could imagine.
Even if you don't say, like, we're not admitting guilt on this for him, right? The 2 grand juries said there was no criminal charges, all that stuff. That's fine. For the fact that there is a misconduct, a breaking of the NFL rules for conduct in this situation that has expanded this far. If he only gets 2 games, the NFL, I think Roger Goodell needs to get canned. As if the owners don't already probably think he's already incompetent and inept as it is, it's time for him to go if this does happen. And I know this may not be his ruling. I have to assume Sue Robinson would probably say, full
There's
season.
No way.
If he fights that and all of a sudden Roger Goodell says it's going to be 2 to 8 games, or he's negotiating with the NFLPA and they say 2 games, I have a problem now with the NFL Players Association on them. I get it. You're trying to defend a player or whatever the case is. He's a part of the union and all that stuff. I have a major problem then with the Players Association. I have a major problem with the NFL then. If it comes out to 2 games, listen, it's not like I'm not going to stop watching the NFL, unfortunately. Right. But it's going to be, this is kind of going to be almost in the same way it was with the Blackhawks. And I know that is way more severe, or I shouldn't say way more severe, but obviously there was proof in that pudding that something happened. Like all that evidence came out and we saw in the script. This may take a long time to figure out what exactly did happen and all that stuff, right? Unfortunately. And I'm not trying to downplay anything, but I'm saying it's on that same level where there's a disgust now for the Texans, for the Browns, for the NFL, the Players Association, Deshaun Watson. If there was ever going to be any kind of support thrown behind any of them, I'm out.
Now.
I wash my hands clean of all of that. I hope the Bengals beat them by like 50 points every time. And not like I already did already, but now I want it to happen even more. If it's 2 games, that's a problem. 8, I can kind of deal with. 2, no way. No. That's a problem. You're not solving an issue. You're just trying to move it on over. Yep. Money. That's what talks.
Move on. Forget about it. Get past it.
Unbelievable.
I think 8 games is a joke.
I do too.
8 games is a joke.
I do
too.
So it's ridiculous.
Only time will tell once again with this clown show. So we will find out more and we will relay that information when it comes in.
And hopefully that will be the
end of it. The end.
I'm seriously hoping suspension comes through. That's it. We'll talk about him when he comes back. And I hope he completely poo-poos the bed.
Yep.
He browns all over the bed.
And we're going to find out.
Yep.
So time will tell. But that's all the time we have for our football-filled show today. Some fun things, some not so fun things.
I'm sweaty.
But yeah. We need to cool this guy off.
Yeah.
Get him a meal.
Sucks because it's like 92 degrees outside.
I know. Yeah.
Doesn't get any better.
I was sweating the whole way in.
I know.
No AC.
I was going to say, you glisten like a Greek god, my friend.
Oh, well, I'm Italian, but that's cool too.
Oh, okay. Well. Close, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go with it.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Don't say no. But thanks. This was a great show.
Absolutely.
Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me, obviously, at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. If you guys want to find any more of me, though, too, I'm at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram as well, and I love to hear from you guys whenever you get a chance. So make sure to come follow me, talk to me, whatever you want to do over there. And if you guys want to find anyone over here, of course, I'm here on X-Bomb Sports as well, Wednesdays and Thursdays. If I'm not hosting, I'm co-hosting with my man Drew. We got some big plans in the work potentially for, we're hoping for the upcoming new season. We've already got some details in the works, so be on the lookout for that, folks. But yeah, that's it. And obviously, blow the whistle as well. We may be going live tomorrow. We will see. I got to get Butterball over here to answer your phone. I don't know if he's going to actually see this or not, but if you see this, answer your phone and let me know what time we're going, if we're going, or I can just stay home and eat Chinese food. I really like that too.
Ooh, I'm hungry.
I know I do.
I don't want Chinese, but I'm hungry.
I know.
Chipotle night, I think.
Oh, God. Get us out of here so we can eat, please.
Yep. All right. Well, you can find me, your class president, right here, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Vote for me. A vote for Drew is a vote for you.
Absolutely.
Don't forget. Okay. So, here, Wednesdays and Thursdays, X-Bomb Sports Live Show. Check me out on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem. And we're just going to wing it, okay? I'm going to fly right through this. Check us out on Facebook, X-Bomb Sports. Like, follow, share, watch, listen. However you want to take us in, we will take you in with us.
Absolutely.
Okay? So check us out. Check all our shows out, past shows, new shows, all our updates still be there. Twitter as well, along with the Gmail, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. Send us our emails. Andrew loves to hear from all of us.
Yeah, I love
everybody, all of you and us.
You guys really screamed at me about those quarterback things, man. And you also screamed at Jake when I was just joking. I was only joking about him having Kirk Cousins at the top. One guy that emailed me about that.
Kirk Cousins.
I was like, Kirk, he's like, I was like,
I was almost sent you Kirk Cousins as a joke. Number one.
I wish you would have, because this guy, I was like, Jake had a really weird list. He had Kirk Cousins at the top. This dude emails me and says, dude, I can't believe your guy Jake would put Kirk Cousins at the top. I was joking.
It's a joke.
Why would I ever put Kirk Cousins at the top of any list other than like maybe whitest quarterback?
If anybody sees Kirk Cousins at the top of any list, you should know it's a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe most Super Bowl misses.
Yes, absolutely.
Most screamed by Zimmerman.
Yep. So if anytime you want to yell at him some more, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, we've got podcasts, we've got shows, we've got Blow the Whistle, Sportstown Chicago, we've got Blow the Whistle right here on the live desk. We have Brandon, Baseball Banter with Brandon, and while it's 94.7, doing a little country. Yeehaw, yeehaw, Brandon. Check him out there. He does great work. Awesome on the radio. Awesome everything he does, along with his baseball banter.
Absolutely.
Dude knows everything about baseball. I'm sure he's upset about the Cubs.
Yeah, he's hurting a little bit.
I feel your pain.
He's hurting a little bit.
We all are. We all are. It happens. But also with that, Hannah B. Monday Motivation, great podcast, gets your week started. Very inspirational guest. Great job she does for her podcast, which has led her into the radio, where she is at 104.3?
102.3.
102.3.
Yes.
I'm usually the one that tells you.
I know, yeah.
It must be that chair.
I think it is. It's this chair, which, by the way, it's a butt killer, folks.
Oh, yeah. 102.3. She does the afternoon drive. She's on right now, getting off in about 9 minutes.
Yep.
Check out the last few minutes of her. She does great work there. And then she's also on the morning show with Eddie Volkman on 96.7. Should be all over the radio morning, afternoon, and night soon. So just keep an eye out for her. Awesome stuff from her. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
Check out our guys at the Parlay. Tony Lopez, also known as Tilo, along with Kendall Gill, doing combat sports at theparlay.com. Hashtag Gill versus Paul. Hashtag Paul versus Gill. We were trying to get this going.
Come on, Jake.
He's dodged him for years now. He keeps wanting to fight a bunch of bums, fight somebody who can actually throw a punch for a change. That would be Kendall Gill.
Let's go,
Don't
baby.
be scared. He's up there in age. You're a young buck. You should be able to take down the old man no problem, right?
When you get flattened by this real boxer, you can face the other real boxer, Kendall Gill, and then we can watch you get flattened at wherever you want to hold this thing.
Yes.
I would would suggest Vegas because I'd really like to get to Vegas.
Yeah, well, that would be fun. But
Absolutely.
all in all,
Hawaii
we would
too.
love to be there to watch you get your ass kicked by
Yes.
Kendall. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Sign on the line, you punk. But that's all there is.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all we have. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being with us. Can't do what we do without the fans. So have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week right here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.